Hello, and welcome in to Bear With Us on the Bear Claw Media podcast. I am Chris Bolin, joined as always by Ben Schleiger. Ben, it feels like we're getting back into a routine here with the two of us.
I know. Yeah, this is busy bear season for us. Lots of cool things are happening. Jerome Campbell is killing it in indoor nationals. Wrestling is heading off to nationals. Basketball is entering March Madness, and well, we're not going to that tournament where we're going to the NIT. So lots of cool stuff going on. Yeah, it's an exciting time for Bears fans. Of course, it comes to a very high pinnacle, and then it's like, we got baseball and softball till spring game, which should be May 3rd. I think we're allowed to say that. Coach told me multiple times it was spring practice should be starting open to the public around April 3rd. I don't remember what day of the week that is, but I feel like that's right. He told me April 3rd and which is a Thursday, so we'll see. I feel like they're probably starting on the 2nd, but he said open practices starting on the 3rd and that the spring game should be May 3rd. I don't have a time on that yet, but I'm sure Michael will keep us in the loop on that. But yeah, main thing is we'll go over Bears news desk real quick. But we also had a pro day for 3 of our players, which is pretty cool. Had 6 scouts come out. Also, I didn't put it online because I didn't want to, shame anybody there. But I will shame people here. Arizona Cardinals. L. No show, no call. Screw you guys. There was another CFL team that didn't show up. I think that might have been a last minute decision or travel. So also L, but I'm not gonna call you out. I'm just
They
gonna
don't
say
have
Arizona.
unlimited money like the Cardinals do.
Yeah. Come on. You're an NFL team. You can stop by for a hot minute. Granted, there was also Wyoming's pro day that day, and I think RMAC was either that day or the next day. So it's like, I get it. But still mad at you. So we'll just go ahead and jump into the news desk real quick so we can talk football. Shout out to women's basketball team. Had an absolutely gritty win against Portland State. Of course, it was 9-10, so not exactly saying anything there, but they really pulled themselves up by their shoelaces in that game. Kristen Matteo coached a wonderful game to a 53-50 win. I know it's 9-10 seed, but this was actually a very, very interesting game. The ladies were struggling early on and really just pulled it together. So shout out to them. They did lose by 32 points to number 1 Montana State. But like Chris and I have been talking about, this might be the best women's basketball team to come out of the Big Sky besides the 2018 UNC team, probably in the last decade.
Dude, they're making as much as I want to be a homer, I think that you have to say they're better than that team. That 30-3 just is different. Like, I think it's weird because that UNC team we had kind of, I don't want to, this is gonna sound, but they played like a men's team. The way like Savannah Smith like moved out there, they just played like men's basketball, and this Montana State team is the epitome of women's basketball, like 10 players deep, full like team. They're athletic, they're pressing. But they're really good. Started that UNC game 19-0. Like they scored 19 before UNC got on the board. So it was a rough spot to be in, but solid season for the Bears. They turned over most of their roster. I think they only had 3 or maybe 4 players return, and one of them, I want to say Lila Hall, but that may just be the wrong name. Somebody, not her, but one of the returners tore their ACL before conference season, like play even started. So it was just a bit of a rough kind of circumstance because they had beaten Utah State and BYU in non-con. So they had, like, at least from the outside, felt like some high hopes, and then it just wasn't able to come all together.
Yeah, shout out to the women for a very interesting non-conference. Almost beat Air Force. That game just kind of got away from them late. Utah State, what a shellacking. That might be the best, FBS versus FCS, size schools win that we've had on the women's side in a long time, 85-57, just absolutely embarrassed them. BYU, that was a fantastic game. Shout out to everybody's effort in that game. That was a team win, a team takedown, putting the first loss on BYU's record, and also their coach got fired this season. I'm not saying we did it, but I'm just saying, like, losing to a Northern Colorado, and that's how you get your first L in the your first tally in the L column. I don't know. Maybe we helped with that. Not saying we want people fired, but kudos to the UNC girls. They killed it in that game, and then they absolutely murdered a directional Christian college from Kansas. So 140-26. That's one of those. It probably was on SVP's segment for sure, of just like, hey, this is ridiculous. They literally 7x'd the other team almost. So good season for the girls. Just didn't pan out. I think I know it's weird to say good season, but 14-17 when you had your star player transfer out to the in-state upgrade, you could say, for women's basketball. We get it. Like there's only so much you could do. They're trying to learn team ball without necessarily um, without having a necessarily a star player per se. Like Anaya Hall sometimes is the big time deal. Down the stretch, we had some younger players really step up. Tatum West is consistently, one of the grittiest players, just trying her heart out every game. So shout out to the women. Hopefully we can do better than that next season. We'll see what happens there. Moving on to track, the indoor season just finished up, and we did have some UNC records in there, but most notably, Jerome Campbell, our world record setting type runner, he was in his element at the indoor 60-meter hurdles. He finished second in the nation, so he got a runner-up national champion trophy. He also qualifies as a first-team All-American for the indoor track season. So Jerome's crazy. He's a natural talent combined with just crazy strength. Talking to one of my best friends, Demetrius Graves, you probably saw him at the party. He used to run track for us, and he was on one of the teams that won the 4x100 for us as a Bear, and he said that this guy's just crazy. Like the amount of athleticism he has and just natural talent. Like dude could go to the NCAAs for outdoor and win it. I mean, obviously you saw he was only second to the Auburn runner in this one. I think the Nebraska runner, he either only does outdoor or might have graduated. Hopefully he graduated, but I mean, 15th in the world, that's crazy. And like I think he was 24th in the world last year. He finished 7th at NCAAs, and he finished 6th at Jamaican Olympic qualifying. So Jerome Campbell is absolutely UNC's darling for men's track and field right now. Regina Mpagachi, she's doing great things on the women's side. She set pretty much every record there could be for cross country this season, so she's doing great there. And then our last big thing, like baseball and softball going on, kind of rocky starts usually. Usually it's conference season when we usually get more excited, more tuned into wins there. But wrestling has 4 qualifiers for nationals, 2 Big 12 champions, and neither of them are Steve Bolin or Andrew Aliris, which definitely weird feeling for Bears fans. Kind of, Chris, you alluded to this. Aliris' injury might have held him back a little bit. He didn't look his tip-top shape in Big 12s, but I mean, we got 2 Big 12 champions, excuse me, and our best ever finish for Big 12 championships. 79.5 points. We finished 5th overall. I think that's pretty great to be in the top 5 of the Big 12 for wrestling. I mean, especially as niche as D1 wrestling is. So, shout out to all the wrestling guys. Man, what if they all took Big 12s though? We could have been like maybe etching into top 3. Like that'd be in some crazy territory with Oklahoma State and Northern Iowa.
No, it's crazy that I think anybody, myself included, that was just watching the Twitter account to see like results, tweeted out. Alirez, I almost like had penciled in as one of the winners. Serrano also made sense. I mean, they all made sense, but like, if you would have told me Serrano, I would not have been surprised either. But yeah, that I didn't even realize that Alirez had been injured because I'm very in and out of paying attention to wrestling, which is not great. But until I covered like his final match in Greeley and tweeted something out, and somebody is just like, I don't think he's gonna do very well with his injury. And I was like, that's interesting because he didn't really look very good in that match in Greeley. But like you said, there's some weird circumstances surrounding this Big 12 match. So who knows? I still have faith going into nationals. As an 8 seed is weird. I don't know how they do their seeding, but I thought that was kind of interesting. It dropped them all the way down to an 8th, but they may be like top bids for conference champions. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's I believe it's top 4 move on, so don't quote me on that, but Dom Serrano at the 133 bracket, he's going to be a 5 seed. Vinny Zerban, he's going to be a 7 seed at the 157 bracket. Alirez coming in as a strange 8 seed, like we just talked about at the 141 bracket. And then Steve-O Poulin, he's coming in as a 10 seed at the 125. I don't know. I feel like that almost is an advantage. I mean, sure, maybe you run into another weird matchup where you get somebody from Oklahoma State who maybe is ranked at a weird spot where you meet him before you want to meet him. But at the same time, like I feel like that could be an advantage to have a little bit more of just warm up matches per se. Like not necessarily saying that Alaris is gonna just smoke through everything like he did a couple years ago, but he has the potential for it. So it looks like the matchups are out. Steve-O is going to wrestle Tanner Jordan, 23-8 from South Dakota. Steve-O's 20-3 in the season. Dom Serrano, he's 21-2 on the season, and he goes against Colton Camacho. Michael didn't put where he's from, but he was Big 12 champion on Sunday.
I'm gonna guess
Alirez,
Oklahoma State.
okay.
I don't know. That was just a complete guess, but
it could be. It could most likely. Yeah, I didn't see it in that. Oh, Edinburgh's. I don't know. Thought that was Scotland, but whatever. Michael like switched it up like format wise, so it totally threw me off. Alira's 16-1. Crazy to even say 16-1. He is going to take on AJ Rallo, 15-6 from Bellamarine. Like I said, I feel like that should go well. Who knows? Vinny Zerban, he's 18-4, and he is going up against Browns. Blake Satio, 21-5. So I don't know. It could be a great day for Bears. It could be a rough day. We'll see. I think just having 4 guys that are going to nationals is awesome. Also, Chris, you can have 100% opinion on this. How do you feel about the Greeley State uniforms? I like it. I
like
just don't know if I like the weird filigree of like upward. Yeah, it's fun. It's nice, but it's like I wish it wasn't like as cursive.
Yeah, I don't have like direct notes. I love the idea. I don't love them in practice, I guess is where I want them to keep doing the Greeley State stuff. But maybe just a slightly different design next year or something. I don't know. I like the idea. I wish more UNC. It's probably easier with singlets because they're not that expensive to get for 25 guys. But I think it would be. I wish more UNC programs would do stuff like this. So I'm hesitant to criticize, but I don't love like in exactly how they turned out.
That's fair. That's fair. It's like I liked it a lot at first. Now I'm like, like were we ever Greeley State? I don't think so. I think we're always Colorado normal. So like Greeley State is just like I don't know. If you
They're
find the
doing
backstory on that, I'd love to know how they came up with that.
also. I think it's probably like I don't know how real this is, but part of me thinks it's mostly for Alirez and his tie to Greeley. Which,
That's
if that's
fair.
the
That's
case,
probably the most true.
yes. Like if that's the case, yes, do it. Like
Yeah, may as well.
do what
Senior
you need to do
season,
to
like
make
this
that
is
kid
his
happy.
absolute last eligible well not match because if he wins he keeps on going, but his last eligible postseason ever. So if that is kind of like a tip of the hat out, I mean, that's kind of a fun way to do it. I was just like Greeley State, like I like
They
it,
never
but at
were
the same
Greeley
time,
State.
like
Also,
it's so easy to just pin it up on a board and take shots at it. But shout out to
yeah, no,
them. Baseball. No, go ahead.
I was gonna do exactly what you did and move us to the next sport. So
Yeah,
great
just
mind.
moving on to baseball. They split a series with New Mexico. They're 6-13 on the season, so that's much better than 0-22. Um, it's just they got some tough games ahead. They play today at noon, so they'll be in an hour against South Dakota State. Finish up that tri game series. They did win 8-4, so I mean that's a pretty good win as they're starting conference conference play against the Summit League. Take a break and go to Utah, RIP. But Summit League, as much as people joke that it's easier, it is not easier in baseball. There's some sweaty teams, even though they're just kind of ho hum in every other sport. Um, Definitely Summit League is tough. So as much as people joke that we should just run through it, we'll see. We'll see.
Also,
So,
I think baseball um baseball works on a very limited number of scholarships anyway, and I think UNC is I don't want to say well below because what's well below 12, but or something, but like UNC's not at the max either, so just to keep in mind.
yeah, and moving on to softball. Excuse me. They played, gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turn. Nope, take it back. They're in the middle of an eighth tournament, which I believe they're losing to Loyola Marymount. Um, Gosh, and then they play an eighth tournament. Oh my goodness! So tournament central with softball, I think that's just how it works out. But we did win the Colorado Classic D1 tournament, so yay, go us! We beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi 11-2. Mercy ruled them in 5 innings. Beat CSU horns down 7-3, and then we beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi again in the title game per se for the Colorado Classic 5-1. So that's kind of softball's hat to hang on right now. Not a great record at 7-17, but we make our hay in conference. So we'll just see what our fantastic team will do in conference because that's kind of where they shine.
Which honestly, at this level, that's exactly what you need to do. Use these early season tournaments, see some good pitchers, get a feel for the team, and then when the games really matter. And they've shown like last year they played Michigan last year, right? It had to have been, yeah. And
Yep.
they were kind of after having that growth as a team and building through conference season, they were very competitive against Michigan and had every chance to win that game. So it's like the proof's kind of been in the pudding with Dede Helm Pendleton the last few years.
Yeah, no, fantastic season the last couple seasons with just sweeping all of the Big Sky stuff available. But really, yeah, we won't know until conference starts what the season's really gonna look like. But enough of that. Let's get to football because that's our specialty. Um, we had pro day. You were off in Boise enjoying the lap of luxury of all of the starch madness and the what
The
7 to 9 different hot plates of starch that they
the
are offering each day. As a
dude,
potato fan,
it
100% jealous.
it wasn't every day, but that one spread was just like that one spread was Starch Madness. Like that, it was great. But food every day was fantastic. Kudos to I wish I would have learned the name of the company that catered. Shout out Big Sky for taking care of us. But I digress.
Now, Chris, we're going to put you on the spot. This is a very important question. What was the best starch you had while you were there?
Ooh, best starch. I feel like there's probably some like almost I say it wasn't that way every day. Everything like almost felt like it was there was like some potato theme almost. Uh there was like a potato does sweet potato count? That's not technically starch, I don't think, but there was like a sweet potato cheesecake. I'm trying to veer
Oh.
away from just like straight up French fries because I think the answer is just French fries. But but
Outside of
they
French fries and weird ass sweet potato cheesecake, because I don't think sweet potato counts. But was there anything else like super crazy?
trying to think, not really. Everything like was everything was like they had 6 words describing it and I'm like, I know
Uh,
what half of those words are. Instead of just
they,
saying
they tried
like
to zhuzh it up, but really it was
instead
like au gratin potatoes.
yeah, instead of saying we have deli meats for sandwiches, they're like that's probably not a great example because I do know what deli meats are, but like they had like basically cheese curds one day and there's like some fancy word that started with a C. Like, they just like or it was like shallot roasted, honey glazed. Everything had like 6 descriptors when I was like and then it was like the list of all the foods and then they were just out. So I would like walk and then I'd have to like double back to the front to try to guess like what that thing was. And then I'd like walk back.
It was
It was
Boise
fun.
boozy, huh?
It was. I was like, that
Bougie.
is gray. I don't know what this gray thing is.
Mm,
But it was good. I still don't really know what it was. I think mushrooms in there, maybe. But
nice.
I
Well,
digress. Pro
while you
day,
were
we had
enjoying the lap of luxury, yeah, we were out on the UNC practice fields. Mama Schleiger and Baby Henry did some laps around the field while I did some mingling, did some checking out how the coaches were feeling, how the players are feeling, and whatnot, and just kind of taking in the sights and scenes with the media folks there. We had running back David Afari and running back Caden Meese and defensive lineman Sam Iongi and Tuani. Both were, or all three of them were competing and getting measured and all that junk. So it was kind of fun. We had our own little UNC combine per se. Michael was joking, we don't have to go to Indy. We have everything we need here. And it's like on a very small like homer basis. Yes, we do.
you
Like
can run 40 yards at UNC. That's correct.
right. Then Power Center is pretty nice. That was one of the few times I've been in there, but it was a sick atmosphere. Like for the excuse me, for the bench press and um, what is it? The high jump where they jump and they
Oh
hit the
yeah.
paddles and whatnot. Everybody was like around them, like cheering them on, like come on, another rep, another rep, another rep, keep going. Like like they when they did the jumps, it's like, all right, you got this, and just a really good atmosphere. Anybody who was in there, um, it was a lot of the team, and it was some of the other teams in there. I didn't recognize all of the faces, but a good amount of support. I'd probably say 40 to 50 Bears were there kind of cheering on these 3 guys while they did their measurements and tests. It filtered out a little bit throughout the day, but I'd say still when Mom and I headed out towards the end of the agility drills, I think there was still about 30 players just kind of chilling, watching these guys, clapping it up for him. So it was a sick atmosphere, and we did have 6 scouts show up. Like I said, Arizona, yeah, I don't want to hear from you. Not till next season. But we had Detroit, Green Bay, Jacksonville, Denver, and Oakland. And did I miss one? It's 5. Yeah,
the
that's 5 NFL. And then we had the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from the Canadian Football League. Had a rep down there from him too. So kind of fun. There's 3 reps from the Broncos. I don't know if that was just to help facilitate the drills or if they really were interested in one of the running backs. Um, but yeah, it was a fun day. The running backs got the majority of the attention, but the Green Bay guy really took his time with Sam. He even had him do some like karaoke over the pad type drills, like you're stepping over the pad and then like going back and forth, and then he like gives you a direction and you sprint in that direction to like zoom out of there. The Green Bay reps took a lot of time with Sam, coached him up on some stuff. I'm not sure if that was just kind of like a learning moment, like a teaching moment that he was offering to him, or if there's just a lot of stuff that he wanted to see. He did also have Sam do some drills that were more linebacker specific rather than D lineman specific. Sam and Afari, it looks like they really cut down for pro day. Not saying Caden didn't. It's just Caden's so barrel chested. It's like it's hard to tell if he cuts down. But Afari
You
was super
um
lean.
on that note, actually, because we were talking about that while I was in Boise. I'll give you a chance to take a deep breath. Do you think that it seemed intentional, right? Like with Afari and Yangi Yamatua and I wonder, like, it makes sense why UNC's kind of going to that bulkier, like mind, like you have to at UNC you have to do it a little different. But I wonder if going to the league, they're like, we need to be quick, we need to be more agile, and like you said, I wonder if Eong Yamatuanai is like looking to stand up instead of being like an inside D lineman.
Yeah, I could definitely see that from the reps that he was doing um, with that Green Bay guy. And again, maybe that was the Green Bay guy specifically. Um, but of course, the website doesn't list their weights. I should have grabbed one of the rosters. If you have one of the old ones, oh, I might actually have one here. Nope, that's the stat sheet. But either way, ooh, here we go. Haha, pack rat for the win. I will look at that, but um, in general, it looked like Sam slimmed down. It looked like Afari slimmed down. Afari was all about the quick twitch type stuff when he was showing like the different direction, like drills and whatnot. Caden, like just very solid technique. He was very focused on technique the whole day. So it seemed like a good fun day for the Bears. What their chances are, I don't know. But with the UFL, with that being now a more prevalent option, um, I mean, or six scouts for, you know, a one win team. I feel like that's still a pretty respectable showing, even if it's just the scouts are just checking off their box that they hit another place on their route.
No, I agree, because we were talking going in, like, it makes, like, obviously they're not going to do it if they don't know like scouts are going to come. But like you said, maybe it makes sense with maybe Wyoming's was earlier in the day or later in the day, and like they could stop here at UNC, then make the drive up. So like,
Yeah, the Raiders guy, he was late because he had just came from Wyoming.
okay, so like it makes sense, and especially if like the RMAC, they're just like, yeah, let's take a quick peek here at UNC. But you're right, and not even just the UFL, but also I saw a graphic. Maybe you probably sent it to me, because I don't know why else. There's like 8 professional leagues in North America, right? Like Tizzy
Oh
Lewis
yeah, the
just
tiered
signed for
system.
like
Like
that.
shout out Tyrone Harris. He just signed with
Oh, I sorry, I said the wrong guy. But
oh, you're good. You're good. I don't remember what city it is, but he signed with the Los Dinos in the Mexican LFA league, which is like I think that's tier 3. So it's like NFL and then it's like UFL, CF like Canadian Football League, and then below that is European football, Italian football, and Mexico football. And then there's some other stuff below that that's even more, world travel type stuff.
like I feel like I don't know what the salaries are. I don't know what he's making down in Mexico, but like Sloter was making what, 60 grand, he said, playing in the UFL, or was that the XFL? Either way. So like if you play for 4 months and make even half that, or like, you still have 8 months of the year you can like supplement your income, and to keep that passion going. I think it's cool that there's at least opportunities out there.
I mean, it helps if your wife is a Fox NFL or no. Well, she's on the Fox NFL cast, but she's also on the what is it? The Fox's like
Big
college
noon
game day.
kickoff.
Yeah, Big Noon Kickoff. She is the sideline reporter for that. Or like the game day sideline reporter. So I don't know what Alyssa makes, but I'm sure Kyle's pretty comfortable. He can kind of just
He's
have his opinions and not worry too much about it.
yeah, he
Also
also
looking
got a couple NFL contracts, so he's all Gucci.
right, looking back at the roster, Sam was listed as 6'1", 300. I'd say he
I
was
don't
down
know
to
about that.
275.
I don't know if he was ever up to 300, but that's a
Yeah,
different
300 might
question.
be embellishing a little bit, but as far as things go, I'd say he was more along like the 260 to 270 the way he was looking. Also, it lists Safari as 209 and me says 202. They did not look the same. Like I know Misa's a little bit shorter, but like Afari looked like he was down to like 180, 185. Like he was trim cut. Like looked like he was basically just eating, boiled chicken and rice.
Yeah, so I wonder, like, I don't have like a ton of opinions because I didn't get to see it, but I went like first off when I heard about this, I was like, who is it? Like who's because there were only 13 seniors, and it makes sense. Afari makes sense. Meese makes sense. I think who do you think has the best chance, I guess, of getting an NFL deal? Like you said, Yangi had the most was kind of the Packers scout was most interested, but I almost feel like maybe one of the running backs could, hop on somewhere as a UDFA and like maybe without too many reps on their bodies yet, they can get a couple good years as a I don't know. Who do you think maybe has the best chance of actually playing in the NFL out of these three?
Gosh, I think it's a long shot no matter what. Not trying to dash anybody's hopes. Like weirder things have happened. Like freaking Jacob Obenmeyer has been our most constant NFL starter as a long snapper. So again, weird things happen. Um, People find talent all over the place. Bobenmeyer was kind of like an okay tight end for us. Like as far as like tight ends we'd had, I don't think that he's necessarily, scratching the top three in terms of our memories necessarily. But in terms of long snapping, he was very clean and whatnot. And like he was right there along with trying to remember that Air Force kid. I think it was Austin Fort. He ended up going to the Vikings, which was perfect because there was a Vikings scout and a Broncos scout there that year. And Bovenmeyer got brought on as kind of like a practice squad guy and eventually worked his way up to being an NFL starter. So, again, stranger things have happened because who's going to bet on you having a starting long snapper in the league? Like, that's like 1 in a million, and like he's still playing. I mean, shoot, he beat out Trent Sieg in Vegas in the Raiders. Local Eaton prospect. Which funny enough, have a connection to that. Our secretary at work, that is her nephew-in-law. So weird enough, but yeah. Also, shout out
What
to
are the
Trent
odds?
continuing his NFL career because he's from Eaton and we're both live near Eaton. He'll be down with the Cowboys, but getting back on track with the Bears, I feel like Sam got the most detailed interest, but I was gonna say I texted to see how much longer it was going, and like they still had quite a few agility drills that like were going on afterwards, and I was like, okay, you did the standard ones, now you're doing like these like weird specific ones. So I feel like those scouts really did their due diligence with the running backs. Um, I feel like Sam definitely got some extra drills in there too. So I don't know if you know the scouts are just trying to chew up time before dinner time or whatnot.
Didn't want to go home to their lonely hotel rooms.
Right? It's like, oh, I don't know if they were just like really didn't want to go back to Clarion or if they were just that interested. But it seems like they spent a respectable amount of time with the Bears. So I think all of those guys should be encouraged. We didn't get Between the four of us, we didn't get fleshed out stats for everybody. Sam had about 20 reps for bench. Afari had 16, or no, Afari had I don't remember if the 13th one counted for bench, but he got at least 12, and Mies got 16 for bench press. We didn't hear any of the 40 times because the scouts were a little, they're a little proprietary, but didn't want to piss them off. But Aaron Fernandez said that he would pass on stats if they make them available to him. But all 32 teams will be able to see those stats. I think to some degree the UFL teams can see those stats as well. But only other like notable ones that we for sure got like a called out number for was the high jump. Um, Sam Sam was right about 26. And then Afari and Mies, they both were 30 and 32 inches.
Okay, so I think it's a good. I'm kind of trying to still come to not rationalize. I don't know what the word is, but I think this is a good thing that UNC's doing. I mean, it's not obviously not their first pro day, but I think it's good to like if there's any interest, like show off the guys, and also like it hasn't shown up in wins, but Ed Lamb has proven to be able to put guys in the NFL. Like Southern Utah, I think they had 3 guys at the combine one year, which is like an FCS record. Um,
Miles Kilbrew, he's still floating around free
yeah,
agency. I don't know if he's on a team necessarily, but ever since that Lamb's time at Southern Utah, like he's been floating around as a free safety for people.
yeah, and that's not even to mention. I mean, it's easier when you're at a BYU, but like Fred Warner, like Zach Wilson, can't forget about him. Is he still? He's still at the Broncos, right?
No, he got traded.
Oh, did he? Really? I'm behind. Where's he at now?
Good question. I will hunt that down.
That's it's not that good of a question. Um, but it's like I
Miami.
think this is a good. Okay, nice. A stepping stone sounds weird because like the next year's class is going to be completely different, but I I think like we're not there now, but I do think this UNC program can be at the point where it's putting a couple, not like a couple guys in the league every year, but if you get maybe 1 or 2 guys who even get like a UDFA chance in 4 years, you're going to have a little contingent of Bears in the NFL. So even if it doesn't pan out necessarily this year, I think I don't know. I guess I'm kind of fishing for questions here, but last thing, any on this entire UNC roster, who do you think has the best chance of going pro? And there's a good chance that it's somebody that we like maybe hasn't even really played yet and like is a late bloomer, but is there anybody that stands out as you pull out that roster?
Yeah, I was
Like
like,
I'm trying to think
I'm gonna consult the scribe
like
here. As I'm
like
looking at
Chapa's
Weber State's
the
side.
first. Actually, I think I have my answer. It's that lineman that just transferred in from Iowa State. It's a cop out, but I think if we're just looking at what we've seen so far, AJ
I
Burton
mean,
is my
that's
answer.
betting that it's gonna go well, but I sure hope it goes well enough that he is getting that kind of attention because he's got the size. He went to Iowa State. He's Cherry Creek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like AJ should be like a huge addition, a huge talent for us. Um, I mean, Choppa's the cop out, but it's also Chop has
I
to
don't know
stay
what
with
his
us long enough to
size.
be able to get to that point.
Yeah, that's true. Very true too. Cuz there's no great answers. If there were, we wouldn't have one win in the last 2 seasons. That's why I think like the unknown of Burton makes me just he has the size and the pedigree makes me kind of lean that way. Um, yeah, I can't really. Nobody's really sticking out. I'm trying to think like like maybe pass rusher wise. I guess Hogue would have been a decent answer, but
Hogue would
I
have
don't
been.
know
I'm kind of
what his
surprised
knee looks like.
because has Hogue signed anywhere?
I think the leading answer is FAU, but I don't know if anybody like knows that.
If it's not like official.
I don't. I have no idea honestly. Let me. I'll look and see if he's on there.
I was gonna say I have an answer, and you're probably gonna laugh at it.
Fucking test me.
Because my originally my answer would have been, well, I guess he was a freshman, so that doesn't count. Um, I'm just thinking of like looking. Oh wait, hold on. I take it back. This might be, how old is this roster? That's a good question. Let me circle back on that because Tom Atui, he was a senior, right?
I think he was actually. From
Okay,
everything
because
I guess he
that
would
would
have
have
been
been
a
my
long
my answer,
snapper.
but I think he's out of eligibility just because he's so versatile. I would have been like, yeah, that guy could kind of line up anywhere, be a special teamer. Um, Going forward, gosh, it's so hard because like the guys try so hard, but like statistically, we just aren't necessarily leading in anything besides Choppa. I would say if I had to go on a limb on anybody, I'm gonna say Keenan Guthrie, partially because a little bit of like his connections and whatnot, being um, John Lynch's nephew and whatnot. So I feel like he's gonna have the resources to get those looks, but also I feel like he's a versatile enough player. I feel like he can go in and get a sack. He can also get a pass deflection, and he's gritty. Like he doesn't ever steer away from a tackle. Like he's out there probably longer than he should be on most plays. Like just even though if he's just sucking air, like he's on the field trying to make a play every time. So I feel like in terms of physicality, and like just play style, I feel like he's like NFL ready. He just needs to be able to show that statistically. And I feel like that's been really hard to deal with the Bears. It's like you gotta show out. You gotta have those special moments like Choppa. Like Choppa had some special moments this season, and now he's on everybody's radar across the conference. But there's guys who like they deserve that radar, but they aren't necessarily gonna get that because they just don't have the stats to back it up. Like I know Marcus Howard transferred out, but Marcus Howard was one of those just sneaky clutch players where I think like he could come in and get a big tackle for a loss, or he could get a sack, or he could cause a turnover. So I feel like Keenan Guthrie is kind of more of our utility player in the defense right now. As for offense, I just don't think it's fair to choose anybody outside of alignment because I don't think anybody has enough production. You could say Braden Monroe, but I feel like it's so hard to cut into the receiver and running back category that I'd worry choosing anybody in those. Definitely not choosing quarterback right now. We need one to last more
100%.
than 6 games.
So I'm not finding anything David Hogue wise. His Instagram does have him listed as a UNC alum though. So if it wasn't clear he was out before, um, I think I mean it was pretty clear he wasn't coming back, but it sounds like the door is officially shut on that. But I think we just about probably covered it and more. Any other thoughts from Pro Day before we get out of here?
No, hoping somebody continues the trend. I mean, we already have one bear going pro per se. I mean, like I feel like the international leagues count as pro. So as far as that counting as pro, I mean, we've got one in the leagues already. See if we can add another one.
Yeah, and if you count basketball, we probably got maybe
Oh, we
four or
got like
five pros off of this team alone, like
right.
off of this current UNC, which is crazy. I mean, there is more international basketball leagues, but the fact that the 12-team men's basketball roster probably has two, if not three times as many people who are going to go pro as the 120-man football roster.
I mean, yeah,
Apples to
Langston,
oranges.
like Hawthorne,
Jaron's going to be a Euro guy.
Jaron, I could see
Langston will
that.
be Langston will for sure be able to. He may be like a G League, like bounce around guy if he takes another leap. Um, I think Quinn Danker will be a pro guy in Europe just because of how I think he wants to be, and I think he's good, like he's good enough to get to that level. Um, who else? That's four of them. Then maybe yeah, that's tough. Maybe I jumped it. Maybe I was a little aggressive on six because I don't know about Zach Block. He might though. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up in a Euro League. And I'm missing a starter, Brock. He's just a little bit small, I think.
Right.
But I wouldn't be shocked if he was like a a 4 in some Euro League. So I could 6 is definitely the top end, but I think 3 is almost definite and 4 is pretty
I feel like McCreary
realistic.
could go to like one of the leagues that Spite's in right now. Like three point doesn't really fit the Euro style necessarily, but at least in like the Spanish or the Central American leagues, um, I feel like McCreary could definitely fit in those.
No, 100%. That and then you also have like all the bench guys who redshirted this year who you have no clue how they're going to turn out. Like Arik Mayan is like I don't expect big things from him, but if like in 2 years he was an all Big Sky guy, I'd be like, that makes sense. Like I've taken 2 looks at him. I could guess that he would be really good at basketball.
When
But
Hunter Caldwell, local
oh yeah,
prospect, he could be pretty decent. Like he's got good size and he can shoot a three, which is kind of a strange combination.
yeah, he would actually if he's like ready to play next year. I think he's like the perfect type of 5 to play alongside Wisney because Wisney's really like the center, but Caldwell's taller and just kind of but can like spread the floor. So you're right. There's and I'm sure there's guys we're forgetting because there's a couple. I really like Roddick Homer. I don't know if he's ever gonna like be a rotation guy, but he's sure fun to watch in warmups. Uh, but I think that's we got way off track as we're known to do. But back to any overarching thoughts on Pro Day?
Yeah, just hoping somebody makes it. I think it's hard no matter how you cut it. So sometimes you have to get creative and just be able to not even put your ego aside. Be able to like take a chance and just go travel. Like Sam Flowers, he's in the Mexican league as well. As far as I still know, I don't remember which team because they all have. It's like half of them are dinosaurs, which is hilarious. Um, but like, he's down there, and it's just like the fact that there's so many more options, or so many more options are visible nowadays. Because like Europe League, that's been around for a while. The Germany League was huge when we were growing up with like the Rain Fire and stuff. So. I don't know if there's more options out there or if more options are visible, but I think if kids are willing to travel and willing to take an adventure, I think there's opportunity out there.
Well, as always, if you like what we're doing, please like, comment, subscribe. Do the same on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, whatever one you're not listening to actively right now. And if you don't like what we're doing, Ben's DMs are open as always. So hit it up, address it to the complaints department, and have a good one.